What is the difference between signing and ratifying a treaty? Imagine a country is about to enter into a new international agreement that could impact its laws, economy, or security. The process of making this agreement official involves several steps, each with its own significance. Understanding the distinction between signing and ratifying a treaty is essential to grasp how international commitments become legally binding for nations. When a country signs a treaty, it indicates the country's preliminary approval and intention to be bound by the terms of the agreement. This act is often performed by a designated representative, such as a head of state, foreign minister, or ambassador. The signature signifies that the country agrees with the treaty's provisions in principle and commits to refrain from actions that would defeat its purpose. However, signing alone does not make the treaty legally enforceable or binding under international law. It is more like an endorsement or a formal indication of the country's willingness to proceed with the treaty process. The next crucial step is ratification. Ratification is the formal approval by the country's constitutional or legislative authority that confirms the country's consent to be legally bound by the treaty. This process varies depending on the country's legal system. In some nations, the head of state or government can ratify treaties unilaterally, especially if the Constitution grants such power. In others, ratification requires approval from the legislative body, such as a parliament or Congress, through a voting process. Once ratified, the treaty becomes an official and legally binding agreement under international law, and the country is obligated to adhere to its terms. In summary, signing a treaty is an initial step that demonstrates intent and agreement in principle, but it does not impose legal obligations. Ratification is the subsequent and definitive act that confirms the country's commitment, making the treaty enforceable. Both steps are vital in the international treaty process, ensuring that countries formally express their intentions and then legally commit to their obligations.